In the early days of the world, when the morning light still felt new, and creation itself seemed to breathe with fresh wonder, Adam and Eve lived outside the Garden of Eden. The entrance to the garden once there, home still shimmered with an angel's blazing sword, reminding them of the beauty they had lost, and the promise they still held on to. Their children grew in this world of first things. Cain, the firstborn, strong and determined, worked the soil. Day after day, he walked the fields, turning the earth with his hands, coaxing life out of the ground. Crops rose under his care, grains swaying, vines climbing, fruits ripening, signs of his effort, signs of his pride. Abel, the younger brother, spent his days farther from the house. He moved with the flocks across the gentle hills, watching over sheep and goats. He knew each animal by sight, the smallest lambs, the loudest rams, the wandering mothers. Abel found peace among the fields, hearing God's subtle whisper in the wind, feeling his presence in the quiet of open pastures. As the years passed, the brothers worked side by side, but walked different paths. Cain often returned home with sweat on his brow and frustration heavy in his heart. The soil resisted his labor, the thorns cut at his hands, and as he struggled, he watched Abel move lightly, smiling often, praying simply, and receiving answers Cain wished he heard. One season, when the harvest was gathered and the flocks were thriving, the brothers prepared offerings for the Lord. They chose gifts from the work of their hands. Cain examined his harvest grain bundled tightly, fruits arranged carefully. He brought some of the produce he gathered, good, but not his best. In his mind, it was enough. Enough to be seen, enough to be accepted. Abel, meanwhile, walked among his flock with a reverent heart. He chose a young lamb, one, unblemished, pure, the firstborn of the season. He lifted it gently, offering not just an animal, but the very best he had, and the devotion inside him. The day of the offering arrived. The sky was soft with the colors of dawn, reds and golds, stretching over their land. Cain laid out his crops on the altar he built. Abel placed the lamb on his. Then they waited. A stillness settled, and something happened that the brothers could never forget. The Lord regarded Abel's offering with favor, a sign from heaven, perhaps a flame descending, perhaps a glow, perhaps simply a presence that made the air tremble. Fell upon Abel's altar. Abel's face lit with awe. He knelt, humbled, grateful. But Cain's altar remained unchanged. No fire, no glow, no sign from above. Cain's heart burned hotter than the morning sun. His jaw tightened, his fists clenched. Anger and disappointment rushed through him like a storm. Why Abel? Why not him? Hadn't he worked hard? Hadn't he offered something? He turned away from his altar, face darkening, heart closing. That night, Cain sat alone. The shadows around him seemed deeper, heavier. His thoughts echoed with bitterness. Abel's joy replayed in his mind, fueling a jealousy that took root and grew, twisting like a thorny vine. The next morning, Abel saw his brother's troubled face and went to him. The fields were calm, dew shimmering like scattered diamonds on the grass. Birds sang in the distance, unaware of the heaviness in Cain's spirit. Cain looked at his brother, and for a moment, something gentle flickered inside him, but jealousy quickly smothered it. "Come," Cain said, motioning toward the open field. "Walk with me." Abel followed, trusting, unaware. They traveled farther from home, where the land opened wide and silent, and the grass swayed tall around them. Abel, ever hopeful, talked about the flock, about God, about peace. Cain barely listened. His breaths were slow, tight, pressured. His mind raced with thoughts he should have cast aside. In that lonely field, overcome by rage, swallowed by jealousy, Cain struck his brother. The world seemed to stop. The wind stilled. The birds silenced. Abel's body fell to the earth he had walked so gently upon. Life slipped away from him like the last light of sunset, leaving Cain alone with the weight of what he had done. Cain stepped back, trembling. The reality of his actions settled over him like a crushing stone. He looked at Abel still, silent, and fear consumed him. He had crossed a line no one had ever crossed, a sin never seen before. As the sun began to set, Cain tried to conceal what had happened. He hurried, desperate, covering the ground, hoping somehow to hide the truth from the Creator who sees all things. But when night came, the voice of the Lord broke through the darkness. "Cain, where is your brother Abel?" Cain's heart pounded. He knew God's voice. He knew there was no hiding. Yet he answered with defiance, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" Then the voice of the Lord moved like thunder, but with sorrow, not anger. What have you done? Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Cain collapsed under the weight of the words. The moment his hand had struck Abel, replayed again and again. Guilt, shame, and fear crashed over him. The Lord declared that the ground wants Cain's work, and pride would now resist him. The soil he had tended would no longer yield its strength. He would wander the earth, a restless soul, always moving, never at home. Cain's face twisted with anguish. My punishment is too great to bear, he pleaded. Anyone who finds me will kill me, but even in judgment, God showed mercy. The Lord placed a mark upon Cain not as punishment, but as protection, a sign that no one should harm him, a sign that even in his darkest failure, God had not abandoned him. And so, Cain left the presence of the Lord. The land grew unfamiliar as he walked. Trees towered like strangers. Winds carried whispers of a world forever changed. Behind him lay the field where Abel once stood, where Abel's offering rose like sweet fragrance, where Abel walked in faith and simple trust. Ahead of Cain stretched a path of wandering, a reminder of what jealousy can destroy and what mercy can still preserve. In time, Adam and Eve mourned the loss of their son, grieving the first death the world had ever known. And yet, even in sorrow, God brought comfort. They later welcomed another son, Seth, through whom hope and promise lived on. Generations to come would remember the tale of Cain and Abel, a story of offering and intention, a story of jealousy and consequence, a story of God's justice and his mercy. And as the earth continued to turn, the voice that once called to Cain still echoes into every heart today. Where is your brother? A reminder that we are, indeed, our brother's keeper, and that the seeds we plant in our hearts, whether love or envy, will one day bear fruit.